Most attacks that we were in, like, you woke up that day kind of sensing something was going to happen. We woke up that morning and it was like a thick, bad feeling in the air. Got all the trucks ready to go for the convoy, and it was about a 40-minute drive down to Baghdad. And they asked us last minute take extra rounds, and I was in truck 8. Matt was behind me in the convoy. The convoy was 26 vehicles long. We got out onto the main highway, Route Tampa, and it became even more of an just ominous feeling. It was bad, and there wasn't even much civilian traffic on the road, which was odd. And I just can really truly remember my heart, I could feel my heart beating in every part of my body. And then all of a sudden you hear that dreaded call from the first vehicle, and of taking small arms fire. And I could hear the gunfire over the radio before it actually started hitting us, and shortly after we were in it as well. My 50 cal gunner immediately started firing his weapon, and as a driver for something like that, really the only time you fire is as he's reloading. So that's kind of the process we followed. The kill zone was, I believe, 3 miles long, and enemy fighters, they say, was 200 to 300, and there was only 25 of us armed military personnel in this convoy. The small arms fire intensified, and started seeing things such as IEDs, RPGs, and I even personally saw airburst mortars going off. At this point, it became pretty bad as far as trying to maintain the vehicles, because we were escorting a fuel convoy, and all of the fuel that was leaking from these trucks from being shot up and hit with RPGs and whatnot was all over the road. And we had essentially were on the overpass from where I saw the Humvee, and when I looked to my left, where normally I would see the rest of the convoy, like I mentioned earlier, I was the 8th truck, so there should have been a bunch more vehicles behind me, and there was zero. There was so much smoke that I didn't see the rest of the convoy, and that's when I knew for sure that this was not just a normal firefight. We just kept fighting, and we got down to, I think, our last can of 50 cal ammo, and I was completely out of M16 ammunition at this point. At just about the time, I remember sitting in my seat thinking, almost to the point where it had become so intense that I was just waiting to die, and it was like this really weird feeling of almost like I wish it would just happen already, as opposed to trying to get through it, because we were getting low on ammo, nothing was letting up, and there was really no end in sight. And I just remember for the first time ever feeling that, I guess, defeated feeling. About that time that thought had occurred to me, out of nowhere, through the smoke, I could see the silhouette of Abrams tanks. Our guys, good guys, I guess you could say, military personnel. And I remember thinking, we just gotta get to these tanks. We gotta get to these tanks. So we just barreled through the firefight, and next thing I know, we got past those tanks into a semi-secure area that the cavalry had secured for themselves, because they were fighting the militia that we drove right into their offensive operations that they were fighting. But that day, a lot of people, I was fortunate enough to be in the only truck without any dead or wounded in it. Every other truck had somebody either wounded or killed, and I was only one out of 6 trucks, out of 26 trucks to even make it through it. Matt was also missing, and we didn't know his whereabouts nor were his remains found. This all took place on Good Friday, and so we were stuck in Baghdad for the weekend trying to make sense of who saw Matt last, where was he, what truck, and we were just piecing it all together as best we could. It wasn't long after that, an Al Jazeera video was released, a hostage video of course, Matt being shown with several armed guys behind him, and he read off his information on who he was, where he was from, that he was a POW, but he was alive, so that was good, that we at least saw him alive. Countless raids took place after that. We didn't take place in any of them, but infantry, special forces, and whatnot, to try to find him. And unfortunately, they never did. And I think it was June. The attack took place in April, and I believe it was around June of that year that one morning we were in the chow hall, and Captain Henry said to us, he goes, "Hey, listen, there's a new video of Matt, and it appears to be show him being executed." It wasn't until several years later that remains were found, and they did testing, and it proved to be, his remains. And they brought him home, and in a pretty grand fashion, his funeral was on Cincinnati Reds baseball at their baseball stadium, and it was attended by a lot of people. But what I do remember from Matt, and it lines up pretty well with what everyone says about him, he was just this gentle giant. Gosh, it just seems like bad things happen to good people too often, and but he was pretty quiet and reserved, and never said anything bad about anybody from what I remember. So I got into CrossFit 2 years ago when my best friend Scott Harris opened Bare Hands CrossFit here in Columbia, Illinois. And as I got more and more familiar with it, we started doing these things called hero WODs. And basically, they're really tough workouts named after, unfortunately, a lot of our fallen men and women in the service. And they're built around, a lot of times, what maybe that person liked to do personally as far as workouts go. And I can remember when we were in Kuwait one day trying to kill time, he was on the ground doing push-ups, and we were just stacking gear and equipment on him until he finally quit doing push-ups anymore, until he couldn't finally lift it anymore. We decided here at Bare Hands that we should come up with a Maupin WOD, one in honor of Matt and everything he had to go through in his memory. The WOD is kind of based off the military PT test. It's 4 rounds of an 800-meter run, 49 push-ups, 49 sit-ups, and 49 air squats. 49 is in reference to the day of the attack, 4904, and it's four total rounds. Through doing things like this, Matt's spirit can live on forever. What better way to honor somebody such as Matt with such a great workout like this, and once a year remembering him and his legacy.